I am here with Mr. Phillip Alder, the Daily Bulletin Chief Editor. Hello, Philip.
Hi, good afternoon, Fernando. How are you?
First question, how and when you had been captured by bridge?
Well, I was 15 years old when I first played. I had my two closest friends in high school, their parents played and had taught them. And they started a bridge club with our physics teacher. And I was playing a lot of chess in those days. So people had told me bridge and chess went together. So I just went along to see if it would interest me, and it did. So we entered a school's competition after I'd only been playing 2 weeks, and we came in the middle. And I decided we had to get more practice, play other schools. So I wrote to every single school in our area, and none of them had a bridge club or a bridge team, but one person did write back. He was a well-known player in our area, and he said he would help us if he could. Then suddenly, 2 months later, his partner moved out of town. So he called me and asked me if I would play with him once a week at our town bridge club. And I told him he was mad because I'd only been playing the game 3 months by then. But he said, come on, we'll give it a go and we'll see how it works. His name was Tony Bartlett. So Tony and I played every Monday evening for, starting in January. And in May, we entered the Club Pairs Championship. And you had to play 2 consecutive Mondays, and you added your 2 scores together, and the pair with the highest score won. And unbelievably, we managed to win. So I was only 15. I'd only been playing the game 8 months, and I'd already was taking my first trophy home. So I was addicted very quickly.
In the beginning, did you have any bridge mentor?
Well, basically, Tony was the person. He helped me mostly with tactics of the game, especially how to play pair games. But he was the person who fashioned my bridge at the beginning. Then, sort of 2 years later, I went off to university and started playing and had a partner called Kerry Evans with whom I was very successful in junior events, and got spotted by some well-known players, and so got asked to play on good teams. And so, but no real mentor apart from Tony Bartlett, just learning through osmosis, I suppose.
Remember your first bridge book?
Well, I do remember when I first started playing, I read every book in the library and didn't understand a word of any of them. But after I'd been playing about 3 or 4 months, I read them all again, and now I got a lot more out of them. By far, the one that improved my game the most was Killing Defence by Hugh Kelsey. That was head and shoulders above all the others from the point of view of making me play better.
What were your happiest moment and your sad moment in bridge?
I guess the happiest was probably when Kerry Evans and I won the Junior Pairs Championship in England, because that year only they also played the boards in New York, and the London heat was scored with the New York heat, and the winning English pair got a free trip to the United States, and we managed to win, all on the last board but one, which you probably don't want to know about. It'll take a long story. But anyway, we got a very lucky result right at the end and just managed to win, and that got me to the United States for the first time. And I'm sure if we had not won that, I would not be living in the United States now. And winning that was really quite something. The saddest was when I was a non-playing captain in the trials in America for the 1992 Team Olympiad in Salsa-Maggiore, and my team was playing against Mexroth and Rodwell and Hammond and Wolf and Simon Deutsch, who was the sponsor, and Michael Rosenberg, and we lost by 5 international match points. And if Simon had never played a board, we would have won the match, and that was just absolutely awful. That was by far the worst I felt at the bridge tournament, losing that match.
In the past, you was the coach of the Pakistan team and Egypt team. What you can tell about this experience?
Yeah, there's a big difference between the two, because Pakistan, I just went to the tournament and helped them primarily with handling the opponent's bidding methods and would help the captain with lineups and so on. And in fact, the 2 years I did, 1 year Zia was still on the team. The second year he'd actually left the team. But Egypt was totally different, because I went to Cairo and I worked with the team for a bit more than 2 weeks. Every evening we got together and did several hours of training, bidding methods, playing, and at weekends we got together all weekend. And that was much more serious. And it was before the 1989 Bermuda Bowl in Perth, Australia. And we went to the tournament, and I knew I had one extremely strong pair who has since gone on to be very successful, Waleed and Tarek. But nobody in the bridge world apart from me knew that this team was actually quite strong. And I said to them, everyone's going to underrate you. Just sit there and play sensibly and you'll beat everybody. But unfortunately, they were brand new to the game and the World Championships, and they took no notice of me and made a few psychic bids and crazy calls in the first half, and we were losing to everybody. So the captain had a big meeting and told them what he thought. Second half of the tournament, we beat every single team except Australia, and we failed by 1 victory point to make the knockout stages. And that was the second worst moment, because if they had just played sensibly in the first half, we'd have made the knockout stages easily, because I knew they were much better than everybody realised. So, but it was a lot of fun. They're still good friends of mine today.
When you began author and journalist?
Actually, I wrote my first bridge article while I was still in high school, and sent it to the Bridge magazine in England, which was still the oldest magazine on the game, started in May 1926. So it sort of interested me writing about the game, and I became a school teacher after university, and I was doing sort of 75% teaching and 75% bridge. So each was suffering because of the other. So I had to decide what to do, and I decided to give up school teaching and go into bridge. And the editor of the Bridge magazine wanted to retire. So I asked him, could I take over? And Eric Milnes, his name was, he said yes, and he gave me a huge amount of help with respect to my writing, because I used to be dreadful, but he gave me a lot of extremely good coaching. And I took over editing Bridge magazine, and that sort of got me up and going on writing. I also helped with another magazine in England, and then when I came to America, I got my syndicated column, and I've been doing that for 24 years. I'm getting close to 8,000 columns I've written. So crazy.
Last question. Do you have any funny story that you want to share with us?
Well, I do a lot of bridge classes nowadays, especially in the winter in Florida, where everybody likes to stay away from the cold weather. I've had most funny incidents in bridge, in my opinion, you had to be there. But I did have 2. One person opened 1 no trump, and his hand, he had 6 spades, 4 diamonds, 3 hearts, and a void in clubs. And I went over and asked him, why had you opened 1 no trump with a void and a 6-card major? Well, he thought he was 4-3-3-3. He'd split his spades in 2 and thought half of them were clubs when they weren't, which was quite funny. But then another player, he opened on one deal, he had 13 points with 5 spades, 3, 3 and 2, and he opened 4 spades. So I asked him, why did you open 4 spades on a 5-card suit and 13 points? He said to me, I was so sure 4 spades was going to be the right final contract, I just wanted to speed up the bidding. And he was absolutely right. 4 spades was the right final contract, and he had his wife well trained, and she passed, and they got on with the play much quicker than anybody else. I thought that was quite funny, but you had to be there.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Fernando. It's a pleasure.